Yes, you may remember me from last video. Here I am again, engineering glass. So right now I'm just going to show you this quick video of what I did last video that I had where we were choosing the best colleges. And here's just a Python program that I wrote. And I just want to show you a little bit about Python if you don't know anything about programming. We have some import statements, and these are just references to libraries. These are things that basically code that people have written already, so we don't have to rewrite them. And they do a lot of things, and they come with a lot of functions, and we can just reference those functions just by putting import in front of everything. So now we have just a simple function, just some data checking things to make sure we're reading the right values. And I have some demographic information over here also as a next stage for a data frame. And that information comes from the website of collegenavigator.com. No, it's not collegenavigator.com, but you can search for it in Google College Navigator. If you don't know where it is, just put it in. And we look for a specific tag. As you saw there, we had PM tabular as programs and majors. So I'll just show you something right quick. We saw some regular expressions, so we're just going to plug in some regular expressions and see what it does. So we're just going to take math.asterisk STICS and see, you can see it brings up mathematics and statistics. So with that, if we take away a portion of it, we can see where it matches all the way to style, the first S and T in style. And so that just shows you a little bit of the working behind regular expressions. Now we can also go to a line where, let's say they say African American, we can type in this regular expression for African American with all these different like /D plus some sign and everything. It'll just pull in the numerical value. So it'll just pull in like the integer. And we can use that when we're doing processing and kind of data analysis and everything else like that. Next thing we want to go to is the URL. So the whole gist behind this is we want to go to every single URL. You see when we click the links, it brings us to a specific URL. That URL is built up of the college ID code plus some other mumbo jumbo in front of it. So what we want to do, we want to save all those ID codes. And the way we save that is we go to this export tab on College Navigator, and we bring in all that information, and we take the file, we upload it to Google, and then we're going to read that file. When we read the file, we're going to read the 14th column of that file, which has all the IDs or all the codes for the universities that we're looking for. So as you see right here, it says it says university underscore code equals row 14. So as you can see, we have it starts with 0, 1, 2, 3. So O is like the 15th column. So we're going to take the information from the 15th column, which is the index of 14. And so we will pull in the information for the code. Simple as that. Now, once we do that, what we want to do essentially is append that information onto a base URL, which is the NCS blah, blah, blah Navigator. If you don't know what append is, append basically means to add information onto something else. So the something else is the ncs.ed.gov, and we're adding on that code. And so we just put that URL plus subject plus major plus university code, and that gives us our URL. And as you can see, we had some print statements, which gave us all these IDs to make sure that we're printing out the right IDs, or we're finding the right IDs as we iterate through the list. And we also have some URLs showing you what URL we're accessing each time as we loop through this for loop with, I put JJ, I could have named something a little bit better, but whatever. So each time we're going to go through a new URL, and each of those URLs is going to be accessed through a thing called BeautifulSoup, which is a library. If you don't know about BeautifulSoup, I'm going to run through it right quick. You can copy some of the code, but if you don't, still don't understand, you can look it up. But what BeautifulSoup does is it accesses like HTML documents, and takes those HTML documents, looks for specific tags like the class tag, and it looks for the name. So PM tabular, as you saw there. Now we go to HTML for the College Navigator, and it has PM tabular. So it's going to jump straight to the PM tabular section, then look for information within that block of code. So another thing we want to take into consideration is that when we start reading the information, we want to put it in the spreadsheet. So when we put it in a spreadsheet, what kind of form do we want that information to be in? We can't just put agricultural, then read in 6213, because if we do that, it's going to read in at 6,213. So what we have to do is we have to have agriculture is actually agribusiness, agricultural business operations, but we want to put agriculture for short and have agriculture dash associate, agriculture dash bachelor, agriculture dash master, and agriculture dash doctor. When we do that, you can divide everything and you can segment into each different degree, because of course people get degrees in a bachelor's degree, they get a master's degree in agriculture. So we want each of those to be their own individual column. And so once we finish with the agriculture part, we want to go to animal sciences. So that will be our next column. So like our fourth column, then we want to start with bachelor animal science, bachelor animal science associate. Okay, so we have that information. Great. So we're reading it in. So what do we want to do next? The next thing we want to do is we're going to look down here, and then we want to pull in these tags. So the associate, bachelor, master, we have to save all those. We have to save those columns, and we have to save in an array. So each time we go through the different majors like animal science, plant science, we can just call in that array that has associate, bachelor, master, doctor, etc., and just append onto each different major. And as you can see right here, I just have an example of the code that's pulling out the HTML code. And so it's taking that information and it's saving that associate, bachelor, master, doctor. And so once we have that, we want to go to the next section of code, which is to go to the subrole, which is the major. So that would be our animal science. That would be our agricultural operations. And so we want to go to subrole, then we want to go to level 1 indent. So what that subrole and level 1 indent does, that find all, it finds the subrole tag. Then once it gets the subrole tag, it then looks within that code to pull out the level 1 indent tag. Then you can look inside that lower level once you've dug down deep enough to extract agribusiness / agricultural business operations. Then once you do that, you can start reading in the 62 and 13 and all the different numbers that go along with it. And as you can see here, as you look a little bit lower, I have that information here. Let me show it to you again. 62, 13, dash 62, 13. Okay, so let's just remember that. We'll go back to it right quick. And let's give this a little time. Let me play around with this a little bit. Okay, as you can see, is everyone getting the code? You see how it's structured? Hopefully you can see some kind of structure to this. Okay, there you go. And it's nice how it highlights everything, right? So over here, I just add some comments. Everything in green is a comment, so it doesn't actually execute in the code. It's just for your own notes. And so you can see, as an example, I just put some examples here, like bracket 29, 2, and 1. Those are examples of what you might receive in terms of the number of degrees that you receive in bachelor's, master's, and a doctorate. And then we have the next code block, which lists the different majors. So these are all under a certain sub row in B. So this would be logistics, materials, and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, that's great. So you remember when we had agriculture dash bachelor? Let's look at that again. Okay, agriculture dash associate, agriculture dash bachelor's. As you see, major equals count 2. That is it. That's what we're doing. We're count 2, then we append it to right here. Let me pull it back. We append it to degree, and there you go. A degree is your associate, bachelor, master, doctor. Now, then we take that information, then we export it all to a CSV file. We open up that CSV file in any kind of spreadsheet program. For example, let's just take Excel, right? And let's find that information. We export to export data frame 2, and let's look at it. And we should have all the information for all the degrees that were obtained in every single university that offers a mechanical engineering degree in America. And here we have it. We have all that information. Great. And guess what? We didn't have to search through 21 megabytes of information and manually input all the information. And that's the beauty of coding and how you can save a lot of time